of a difference this week, playing down here obviously. How do you sort of handle the week and with the players? I guess just a different derby derby.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the game's still the game, and we've still got a ground and goals at either end, so there's no difference about that. But I mean, clearly, Ballarat, we were down there last week. We look forward to going down there on Saturday. Last year we had it in Perth, so we understand the challenges that we've had in the last 18 months. But once the ball goes up, it's going to be a great game of footy, and clearly, we're looking for more consistency, and the Swans are playing a really good brand. So it's going to be a really good game and great for people of Ballarat to see two sides have a red hot crack on Saturday.
How do you bounce back from the disappointment of last week, Leon?
We've sort of the last 3 or 4 weeks clearly been inconsistent. We've had some good results against Melbourne and Carlton, and then we dropped the games against Hawthorn and Gold Coast. We were disappointed probably with the way we played in terms of our ball movement last week. The effort was there, but we just didn't capitalise on the scoreboard when we had to. And Gold Coast played a really good brand. Clearly we know where we sit. We sit outside the 8, and we need to strive to win every game possible, starting with this weekend. So, we're just got to put our best foot forward. We know we've got to be really more consistent and close that gap between our best and our worst.
Leon, how are your players dealing mentally with knowing that potentially they could be here all season? How are they sort of handling that, do you think?
They're okay, they're fine. No difference. We're both in the same, both clubs are in exactly the same boat, and whatever that turns out to be will be. But there's different elements. You've got some older players with families that no doubt there'll be some challenges, and there's some younger players that've got freedom and they've got family down here. So there's different challenges for different people. But when you come to training and when you come to participating in meetings and game day, there's no sense of worry. They're ready to go, and there'll be no different this Saturday.
And John, same question. How about the Swans players? How are they doing?
I think the important thing is players and staff. I think it's players and staff, and it's everyone's different, and it's not just the players or the staff. It's everyone. You've got the older players with families. And staff with young kids versus the younger kids, younger players in our team are, as Leon mentioned, have got family down in Melbourne. So everyone's different, and I think what you just can't fall into the trap of putting the players or these staff. Everyone's different, and that's why obviously the two clubs are looking at it, and so you just roll with it. Everything's different, so you just got to, all of a sudden the difference becomes the normal. And so you just get on with it, and you go with whatever happens. Every day is a bit different, so we're just rolling with it, and focusing on what we can control. It's training and meetings and those things, and then supporting our families as much as we can, and relying upon the AFL and authorities to be able to do the best they can.
John, are you still waiting for AFL approval to bring the touring party of loved ones down here?
Well, it's probably the authorities that outside the AFL that'll have that ultimate say. So we're fully aware of that. The AFL are working behind the scenes to be able to try and get it done for both clubs, and we just hope there's a solution to it at some point. So there's some, at least some certainty on the future and what it might look like. In the meantime, we do what we do, and we concentrate on what we do, and get into the footy stuff, and we're playing Ballarat this week against the Giants, so that's what we're focusing on.
Do you know what sort of numbers your club will bring down if you get it?
There would have been some numbers in the background, but I'm not sure of the specifics of it. Other than that'll probably depend on what the plan is, where it is, and things like that. So that's all up in the air at the moment. So we're just waiting to hear.
John, you're obviously flying at the moment. Do you feel like you're good enough to win it this year? Do you feel like you're in that window?
We're playing at Ballarat against the Giants this week. We put our one foot in front of the other at the moment. Things are changing so quickly on and off the ground for both teams that you do very much live in the moment, the day to day, because you have to, and you can't use your energy in other areas too much. You need to focus your energies on what you can control. And I know it's a very, it's an old saying, but it's an old saying because it's a true one. You just focus on the day-to-day stuff and what you can control, and then you rely upon people outside of that to do other things. And if we continue to play good footy, if we continue to play 4 quarters of good footy, well, that takes care of itself as well. So we try to very much live in the moment.
Did you think pre-season though that this group did have that improvement to come this year?
We've always been confident that if we get our best players on the ground and that next tier of young kids come through, that we'll be competitive. We've been competitive so far. We've had a couple of games where we've dropped away. The last couple of weeks have been pretty good. But we'll probably go to Ballarat this week, and against the Giants beat us last time. I went down to the last minute. Young bloke kicked the goal. It was a bit frustrating over there, but with a minute to go. Yeah, so we look forward to that. We think that we have had some great close contests with the Giants, and so that doesn't change wherever it is, whether it's in Perth like last year or it's in Ballarat this week. The conditions will be a bit different, but we look forward to that as well.
John, I don't know if you've looked at the weather forecast yet. 9 degrees, hail, windy.
Good on you, Willie. Yes.
6-day break.
Yeah.
Day to day, Andrew. Day to day. Come on.
Would this be a good one to give Lance a rest?
I don't know where that was going. I'm sure he's okay. He's got a jumper he can wear, and he'll be fine. No, I mean with Lance, it doesn't matter whether it's in Ballarat this week or where it is. It's more about how his body's feeling from week to week. I understand that he's got a program in place that's very strict in regards to what he needs to do on a weekly basis to be able to play. He's been feeling fine so far, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to come a point where he doesn't play. I can't tell you right now today that he's going to play in 3 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time. I don't know. It's more about we understand how it goes from week to week, how he pulls up. He did some running yesterday, looked pretty good, so that's a good sign. And so we've got training tomorrow. We'll see how he goes there. If he feels good, well, he'll play.
You're expecting him to play this week?
Well, if he gets through training tomorrow and feels good, but once again, we don't project too far out. We've got to get through the training program. If we talk to him, if he's feeling good and he's keen to get out there and play, he'll play. So that's where we've been doing it all weeks, and we'll continue to do that. And if there's any signs, in the next few weeks that he needs to not play, well, he won't play.
Because there's a couple of 6-day breaks coming up. There's one this week, and another one maybe.
Yeah.
Does that come into your?
At the moment, we're just looking at this week. If we need to at some point in time do that, we'll do that. And we've said we've been open during the whole season that he won't play every game. But at the moment, we're seeing him in pretty good shape.
Leon, Steve Cornelio, stats looked pretty good last week. I didn't see the game. How did you rate his performance, and is he back in the seniors this week?
Yeah, look, he was always going to have a couple of games, whether it would be 2 or 3. Coming from a long-term injury, he will come into the side this week. Yeah, so we've decided on that. And he got better as the game went on last week, and clearly he had a lot of the footy and was running on top of the ground. So he's had 2 back. We think he's ready for senior footy, so he'll play this week, which is great. I mean, it's been a long 14 weeks out for footy. I mean, it's been really tough for him because clearly he wants to get on the park and let his footy do the talking, but it's a great opportunity to have our captain back playing on Saturday.
So what do you want to see from him? Do you have to temper expectations a little bit? Or?
Well, when players come back from injury, regardless of whether they're young players or veterans or players on top of their game, when they come back from long-term injuries, it always takes a little while to get in the rhythm. Now there's the VFL standard, and we know the standard that lifts when you get to AFL. So, and that's a fair jump. So we're not, we don't expect miracles. We don't expect him to be absolutely flying, but we've made that judgment call that he's fit enough, he's ready for AFL footy, he's had 2 games back, and we think he's ready to go. And so what that leads to, you'll play on ball, you'll play forward as well. I mean, there's going to be some rustiness. I mean, there's going to be some nerves, but that's like any player coming back from long term.
So just following on from that, you won't necessarily slot straight back into the midfield. You might.
I think that what he's got, his capabilities, and if we sort of hark back a few years ago, he played some very, very good footy centre forward, and and he can hit the scoreboard as well. And so we feel as though adding that to our squad is only going to be beneficial. So there'll be forward play and there'll also be midfield stuff, and that's what he's been doing at the lower level in the last 2 weeks.
And Leon, no Lockie Whitfield. Firstly, how is he, and how much is he going to be missed?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's it was an interesting one because he's such a tough player. When he gets on the ground, he puts his head in places that he shouldn't sometimes because of he's not the biggest guy and he's so tough. But he has been prone to a lot of migraines before. So when he got hit, he didn't know whether that was coming on because of the hit, but. I thought the medical team did a really good job. They took him out at half time. Clearly we couldn't go back on, and then they made that judgment call the next day or two that it was concussion, but he did suffer from a pretty nasty migraine afterwards. He's definitely turned the corner. Clearly it's a 12-day protocol, and we hope to get him back for the Bombers game next week, but like anything, we'll just wait and see.
John, projecting to next round, you guys are playing back at GMHBA Stadium. Is that your choice, that you guys have made the decision because you think that's where you play good footy?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know. Okay. That discussion was outside of my responsibility, so I'm not sure how that went down. But we'll play wherever we have to play. It's it's just when you're involved in the day-to-day stuff, when you've been away for a month and things are changing all the time. You just roll with it, and I'm not sure what the discussions were. I wasn't part of those, but I just we'll play at Ballarat, we'll play at Geelong, we'll play wherever.
Is the uncertainty at the moment as to when you can get back make this year, I suppose, a bit harder than last year?
We had uncertainty last year. I guess last year there was probably 16 clubs that were involved, so there was a lot of uncertainty last year. We weren't sure what was going on. This year. At the moment, there's two, so that's a bit different. So I guess that's the biggest difference from this year to last year. I think there was uncertainty for everyone last year, certainly for those 16 clubs there was.
Is it still an even playing field this year, or? There's no point spending any time in that. It is what it is. We'll get out there and do what we need to do. I think everyone, common sense wise, looks at it and goes, well, it's a bit different, but you can't do anything about it, so you just get on with it.
I think rolling with the punches is exactly what you've got to deal with, and we're extremely lucky that we're still playing. Considering, lots of people back in Sydney are, going through clearly what people in Melbourne went through last year. So we're under no illusion that, we're extremely lucky that we're still playing, but John's right, you just roll each day. And it becomes the norm. And whether you play at Ballarat, Geelong, MCG, Marvel, our players are, we're privileged to be playing, and there's challenges every day that pop up. But I think both clubs are handling it really, really well.
Have you changed your personal approach to players this year compared to last year in the half year?
I think last year was, clearly different. You're clearly in a different state, and the timing was different. Both clubs went to Perth, which was a whole new experience when we were there for 3 weeks, and then we come out of it, and then we're in different parts of Queensland. So here in Melbourne, we're looked after extremely well. It's very hard to judge from one year to the other because you could, last year we had lots of injuries in certain parts of your ground that can really deter, take away from your performance. And so this year we were pretty healthy up until probably the weekend. But so there's so many things you can judge from one year to the other. What we look forward to is just, next day training tomorrow, and then Friday captain's run, play Saturday, and then wake up Sunday, and then we go again. So it's we're extremely lucky to continue to play.
Leon, Shane Mumford this year, what have you made of his performance, and how important has he been to the team?
Oh look, it's one of those. There's no perfect. I haven't got a perfect answer. He's been very, very good when he plays. He's not going to play this weekend. His back's really locked up, and that's what we've got. He can only play a week or two here and there. and we've got to manage him through. I don't know whether he'll play for another 2 or 3 weeks. He sort of gives everything he's got, but equally I'm also mindful that young Flinney and Briggsy are getting opportunities at AFL level, knowing that Bruce has been out for basically the whole year, and Mummy's he's at the end of his career. He's 35 and he's banged up. So he's been wonderful. He's our ruck coach, and he plays. When he's played, clearly we've had some great results, but equally he's also nurturing these 2 young ruckmen that are coming through as well. So he's doing a great job, but I'm also mindful I want him to walk at 40. He's and John would have known that what he goes through to get out there every weekend is unbelievable. And I'm mindful he can only probably do it 2 weeks in a row, and then he needs a couple of weeks off. So we don't play around with that. That is what it is. He's just his body's coming to an end, and he's been a wonderful servant for 3 clubs, and he'll continue to do that throughout the remainder of the year. And he'll pop up and he'll play again because that's what he does. But he'll also coach our young ruckman through as well.